I often feel like I'm still just at the very beginning of this journey of that discovery, and it's all self-discovery. It's not outward things of trying to reach for like, oh, if I can do this, external thing that I'm not really in control of, because none of us are in control of fucking anything. You're in control of going inward and learning, further defining how you're able to express yourself.
Mic check. 1, 2. Greetings. Welcome to the Blue Dreamer broadcast. I'm your host, Dr. I. This is Blue Speak. Today I've got a very special guest, Mr. Lawrence Martinez. What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Well, first of all, I'm honored to be here on your show, Dr. I.
Excellent.
I'm absolutely honored.
Respect. Well, thank you for sitting down with me and having a conversation.
You got it, bro. You got it.
So off the top, I already got to say this much at least, that the reason I'm talking to you basically is through a mutual friend of ours, Mr. Miklo, Mr. Chris Brunner, which I actually interviewed him a while ago. And he's actually the most listened to interview I've had so far.
Miklo.
Yeah, which is good on him, man. Good on him. He's getting me.
Yeah, that's right.
He's getting me hits. It's so good. Respect. So yeah. So I'll just say this much is, I know how much of a big fan he is of yours and your band from back in the day, Salmon. And he and I have known each other since the early 2000s. So we used to kind of just hang out and geek out about music and like conspiracy stuff and all that stuff. And he would show me your band, and I was just like, all right, cool. Like I didn't know anything really about Salmon or any of that stuff. He was like, oh, this is, I was up there in Sacramento and there was this band and this band. I knew Deftones and, I knew like Papa Roach and I know about those bands. So he would show me that stuff and I was like, all right, okay. But then I would hear him play and I'm like, oh, and like even now I was literally listening to Salmon earlier just, to get in the headspace. And I'm like, man, I hear Miklo and like all of this. It's crazy. But that's cool. That's super cool. And you guys sound so different,
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, no, respect. So where did music start for you, man? Like from the very, very, like the inception, where did that come from?
Gilroy, California.
Yeah.
Gilas Califas in total terms. Gilroy, California. I was about 5-ish.
Okay.
And my parents had one of those sick old school, and I'm still hunting for this, old school stereo system, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And it was about 4 feet at the 4 foot high level. Yeah. On either side, you had speakers. Yeah. And in the middle, you had a record player with the 8-track.
Yeah.
8-track. And then like a big space for records, and then a radio tuner to get the radio. Well, anyways, my parents had a bunch of old school, like gospel, like African American gospel tunes that me, my sister, and my cousins who lived on the same street, they'd come over, and we would just jam with our air guitar. Like we'd grab a broom. Okay, you're the bass player. Okay, I'm gonna sing. And like we'd all be singing, and so we'd all just be dancing around, playing. And we did that for hours.
Nice.
And no joke. And we loved the music. It was all positive about God and all that. So, and then, so that was the inception. And my dad did teach me how to play drums around that same time period.
Nice.
Really basic, just basic beats.
For sure.
Just the and the the single and double.
Yeah.
And he would take me to church, and he would be standing up leading the worship section, and he would put his hand behind his back, and if he gave me a thumbs up or thumbs down, thumbs up was fast, thumbs down was slow. The number one finger was the single beat, two fingers was the double beat. Nice. So he would, like a thumbs up, two would be fast, double beat. Yeah. And those are the only beats that I knew how. And so, anyway, those are pretty much like, that's where the roots were for me.
For sure. And so, that's so cool, man. That's like, it's so funny because, so did he played in church or?
Yeah, my dad played drums.
He was a drummer
in church. Yeah.
Did he have a kit like at your house too, or?
He had a kit at the house and somewhere. I have a picture of me banging on those things.
And how old did you say you were? How old at that time? Like when?
About 5.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah. That's super cool. It's just crazy because I'm thinking of the way you vocalize in Salmon, and I'm just like, dude, you got rhythm. You had rhythm from a long time, like, because
right.
Because your vocals that come out mad, like totally rhythmic, like just pop, like it's crazy. And I always wanted to play drums. I think practically every single musician wanted to play drums at some point, but early on, I brought it up recently, but there was a show, the I Love Lucy show. And there was an episode, there was a Christmas special where little Ricky got a drum set and he just wails. And I was like, I want to do that. But I kind of caught on guitar and like I play guitar, but I do the same rhythm stuff on guitar. My guitar playing is very rhythmic. It's very drummy, that style. I'm not a lead. I'm not a shredder. None of that. I just play rhythms, but it's all drums, it's all groove. Right. I like to groove. Yeah. So when did you start being in a band? Did you start a band in high school? Did you play at church? How? Like the collaborative, when did that start?
The collaborative started.
Besides air musicianship.
Yeah. Besides the junior version, I would say 80. 1990. Yeah. I was at Chico State.
Okay.
I went to Chico State out of Gilroy High, and I had dabbled in rapping, like just, more like, we did a rap in church. And I started rapping at parties, like keg parties in Chico.
Yeah.
And I rapped one day with the DJ, and I was like, and it went really well. It was really well received.
Yeah.
And the light bulb, boing. I'm like,
Yeah.
And so I started, but I had always, maybe now that I'm sitting here with you talking about it, I'm just not. Maybe the reason for me, or right off the bat, thinking like, okay, did well at this party. I gotta go find a drummer and a bass player. Like I didn't think about DJ. I thought about band. Okay. And so I think we just answered one question there, or like, so I found some guys to jam with in Chico.
Yeah.
And that was my first experience of jamming. I had watched my dad jam when he was in his church band.
Mm-hmm. They
would practice their church songs.
Yeah.
Which were cool, but then they would start just like really jamming, like their own stuff. Okay, we got our stuff down. Let's just groove. And I remember being a little kid, watching them make their own grooves, and you could feel the magic. You could just feel it. Like, dude, this is. And I couldn't describe it then. And fast forward to Chico, 1990, I had my first taste of that for myself, right? With just spitting rhymes over with these guys. We're just goofing around. It was nothing serious.
Yeah.
Because at that point I knew, or maybe I didn't know, but it wouldn't be too long after that I would move back to Gilroy. And it was then, but after even just jamming just a few times, bro, with these cats in Chico, I was like, this is where it's at.
Hooked.
It's at. And so I'd already put the word out through friends. Hey, I'm moving back to Gilroy. If anybody knows anybody,
set it up. Yeah.
And bam, dude, it was on.
That's awesome. So,
yes, sir.
So you were a hip hop fan or a rap fan? Because I know that Bay Area, Bay Area had a lot of influence.
Yes, you've heard. Well, in the mid '80s, I was first exposed to Hashim, and like
nuclear
electronica, like the mixture from Kraftwerk from Germany mixing with like Africa Bombata and Cool Herc.
Yeah, Planet Rock and all that.
So the mixture of that, which was just popping and locking, breakdancing was about to break. Pun intended. Was about to break out. So during those first couple of years, I was in junior high, and I watched poppers and lockers. Breakdancing started. I did some breakdancing, but it was my exposure to that music that then led to. That's when and then after that, Africa Bombata and Supersonic Force had some rhymes. Cold Crush 5, and then of course Run DMC, Fat Boys, LL Cool J, Beastie Boys, and so Public. So like that was like, so back then, there really wasn't, in my opinion, there, as far as as best I can remember, there really was not, nor was there any need for at that point a differentiation between rap and hip hop.
Right.
It was just all the same.
Rap was the style. Hip hop was the culture, which Bambata, the five elements. Like, I grew up with that, bro. I got that head too, man. My brother caught me onto that. He would listen to Run DMC and, all that, and like Nucleus and all that. It didn't have the image of hip hop. But once I got into KRS-One, then he taught me what hip hop was, and I was like, oh, I've already liked this stuff. Like, and they're like, oh no, that's the culture. Like, and I'm like, oh, all the five elements, it makes sense to me. Like, I still have that in my head. Like, I love hip hop culture. I really do,
Yeah, bro. Yeah. The got into graph, I was tagging on walls and bumping on walls. The WSB, the West Side Bombers, me and my buddies. And we weren't that good, but in fact, right here, see that right there?
Yeah.
That says agape.
Nice.
That's just like it's an anagram where it's like, or it looks the same. If you hold it up to a mirror, graffiti-ish letters. Anyway, so that's kind of like where I was exposed to rapping.
Yeah.
Of course, all us kids, 7th, 8th grade, 9th grade, we were rapping to the song with the songs.
Right.
None of us had any thoughts of ever doing it ourselves.
Sure.
We were just having fun. Man, this is awesome. It's all new.
There was no freestyle or no ciphers or nothing like that at that point, right?
As best I can remember, there were absolutely no ciphers going down at that time.
Right.
So this was at least in my, where
and
I was.
That's early on, you're saying, late 80s, right? Yeah.
Dude, early, man.
Yeah.
Early, yeah.
Yeah. Respect.
Yeah,
and then so after that, where did you get in? Did you get into a band? Like, when did you get in a band?
Okay, so then,
what was your first band, like rock or whatever? Just band.
So got back from Chico, like I said.
Yeah.
Having that just a little taste of the chicharrone.
Yeah.
And I got to Gilroy almost immediately. The word had spread. Hey, a couple cats want to start a band, and these dudes that I got with were already deep into the club scene, where they were going to live shows, Berkeley Square, the Omni. They were seeing Primus, Psychofungus, Fungo Mungo, Blue Chunks, Nuclear Rabbit. Like, just sick. These bands were sick, dude.
Yeah,
they got down, dude. Primus, of course, was like the head, but all these other bands, they held their own. And so they had but they all had funk right smack dab in the middle.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, so when I got back, all we really knew was that we wanted to be funky, and since singing is not my forte, I'm like, oh, rap.
Yeah.
And so again, band, rapper.
Yeah.
So the first band that would have been 90, late 90, early 91.
Yeah.
Last around a year. And that band was called Dutch Courage.
All right.
And out of that band came, I think, 4 bands that were around for a while. So Salmon was one that I was in. So,
For sure.
but yeah, Dutch Courage. And that was like where I got a taste of what it was like to play in clubs, play with bigger bands where there's actually a decent crowd.
Yeah.
But I will say this. This is not. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just stating just a fact.
There you go.
The fact was that we were having fun, which is always contagious, right?
Yeah.
And then even if you're just half decent and you're having fun, it's contagious.
Right.
But these guys were already talented, and so I brought my juice on the mic, and we were just all the songs were just good time songs, whatever.
Yeah.
Party songs, and so from the get go, the word, Gilroy is like a small town. So if there's anything, like I said, anything half good, it's going to spread. So almost from the beginning at the parties, kids were there having fun. We made our first demo tape pretty soon. I'm sorry. Within a few months, word spread. People, just
caught wind.
That was the first.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was, I think it was our second or third show. I remember this moment specifically, bro.
Yeah.
This is an important moment. I was on the mic, and I remember looking out and seeing this beautiful young girl rapping my words.
Yeah.
And it hit me like a ton of bricks, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, another human being, beautiful human being, by the way, like took the time to memorize this stuff. And I didn't really internalize it like in that moment, but that stayed with me. And then as you grow, you start realizing, dang, dude, your words are power, man.
Yeah.
And you got a responsibility and you got influence. More on that later. But anyway, so that was the Dutch Courage was 90 to 91 was that first year.
Okay.
But
was there, so this was all in Gilroy? Or were you guys playing out?
Yeah, we were playing out. We played Oakland, Frisco, Berkeley,
but the Bay Area pretty much.
Bay Area for sure.
It's just so crazy because just you saying what you're saying, and you're like, you like one band spawned 4 bands, and like, in San Diego, like a big thing in San Diego is, and I've been playing for almost at least 30. I've been in bands since I was like 16 years old, and I'm 44 now.
Nice.
So, like I've seen things, and there's just never been a scene really down here in San Diego. There was in the 90s, in the early 90s, but it was a lot of like rock, and I'm influenced by some of that music. But anytime I hear about the Bay Area, it's just like it was a melting pot, from Berkeley to Oakland to like, whether it's Oakland, like, rap or even Metallica and all, what I mean? Like it was always, but I lived in San Francisco for a while, and it's just a cultural like melting pot. There's a lot going on in such a small kind of condensed area, just as much as like, well, New York's huge, but and just those big cities, LA, but definitely the Bay Area has always had such a flavor. Like I think of like DJ Q-Bert and like the Invisible Scratch Pickles and the hip hop culture, the early 90s. Like it's always funky. It's always got a funk to it. E40's got it's always got a funk, you know what I mean? And like it can't be denied. And and that's the thing. Even Primus got funk, you know what I mean? And it's like,
oh yes, sir.
And
that was you hit the nail on the head when you said early 90s, because that was the internet had not broke out yet.
Yeah.
So people were still, in my opinion, because they didn't really know anything else. They were, if they were into music, they would go out, they would hunt the spots down, they would go. And so downtown San Jose was a major hub of music, of live music. The Cactus Club specifically.
Yeah, that's a big spot.
Was, dude, so huge, man.
Yeah.
Hole in the wall, but history beyond belief.
For sure.
And so anyways, so we kind of headquartered out of there.
Yeah.
I mean, we were in Gilroy.
Yeah.
But within a couple of years, 3 of the guys had moved to San Jose. We're practicing in San Jose. We're playing mostly in San Jose, and that it was there that that's where it started, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And so is that when Salmon started?
Oh yeah. So right after Dutch Courage, me and the drummer started Salmon.
Yeah.
We nabbed this sick guitar player who was like a child prodigy.
Crazy.
Yeah, if you listen to him, that guy's crazy.
Yeah.
He's like next level. Well, all those cats they made it really easy for me.
For sure.
They just gave me this palette of they made it super easy for me. So anyways, the bass player, self-taught, bass player, super disciplined guy.
Yeah.
Was a civil engineer, so he was super cerebral. You know what I mean? So his bass lines were like
technical. Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. So this is a combination. Of course, we didn't talk like this at the time.
For sure.
I'm looking back. I'm going, but dude.
Yeah.
All the variables came together.
Right. Exactly.
But anyways, those cats were sick, and so they made it super easy. We started practicing 91. Like I said, parties. Started playing clubs.
Yeah. We
played our first show at the Cactus, actually as Groovalistic Salmon.
Okay.
And we were like, after that, we're like, we can go ahead and drop the Groovalistic. That's a little bit much.
See, but there's that funk again. You guys gotta have that little funk to
it. Yeah. We were just like, we'll let the music speak for itself. It'll be
right.
Funky.
Right. So did
anyways,
Infectious Grooves have a lot of influence on
our drummer really liked Infectious Grooves. Okay. I like some of those. And they were kind of ahead of their time a little bit.
Yeah.
Those are the guys from Suicidal, right?
Yeah, Robert Trujillo, I know, was in that band.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we played with Suicidal one time, actually.
Nice.
And anyway.
Yeah.
So 91, Cactus Club, Salmon, the birth of that. And by that point, we had a year or two altogether of experience under our belt. But that's when we were like, okay, we're doing something good. Let's just keep doing this.
Yeah. And then you guys would play in Sacramento too, right?
Yeah. So the way all that sort of the networking started was, you're playing at the Cactus Club.
Yeah. Because the bands in that northern area all kind of culminated there, right? That was the spot.
They all, right. And if you're going like I was going back to what I was saying about people who are hungry for music, they want to be either part of a scene or they just want to support music. They love music. They like seeing different types of music, whatever. The Cactus Club was like Sunday through Sunday for the most part.
Yeah.
Every night was like, okay, there's goth night, there's emo, there's rap night, there's metal night, there's funk night. And so you just start going, maybe not every night, but you go a lot. We were going a lot. You start meeting people from bands. You start seeing sick bands.
Yeah.
You exchange numbers.
Yeah.
You invite them to play with you. And that's where friendship sparked with Chino and Chi from the Tones, and then Jacoby, with P. Roach, and their drummer, Dave Buckner. He's not the drummer now, but he was just a really cool cat. We got along. And so you create friendships. Yeah. You start exchanging shows, whether I think it was the Seven Oaks Community Center in Vacaville, with P. Roach. And then, of course, by that time, they had already been established in Vacaville, so they were partnering with other dope bands in their area. So we met those dope bands, Same thing with the Tones. They knew, Far and Will Haven.
Yeah.
We didn't really like with those bands, but just even being exposed to them. And so we started exchanging shows. We come open, they come open for us, we go open for them. And I would say in those early years, those two bands specifically because there were other ones, but those ones are the two like main ones that really created a nice, thick train track, if you will, between those, Sacto, Sanho, Vacaville, Sanho, Vacaville, Sacto, like just that area, and word spreads. Oh yeah, there was tribal disco noise from Pleasanton. Like you just had these different bands who were like just solid, bro, in what they did, and just solid, cool guys, good friends, and none of us were not
egotistical, like
no, there was no talk. None of us even knew anything about a record contract or anything like that. We just, like I said, we just knew that we were having fun, knew that something good was happening, and we just kept doing it.
For sure.
And then, so on that process was like a good 3-4 years of just that.
Yeah. I mean, the timing and just the stars aligning, because
like this time now we're looking at 92, 93, 94, 95. And what started happening then, like
and 95, 96 was when we started catching it down here. And everybody started coming to LA, and then a little bit coming to San Diego. I was seeing Korn and Deftones and Papa Roach, at the local, at Soma. It was Soma down here was where I would go, when I started going, I think when I was like 15, because it was all ages. And I saw like Korn open for 311 and like Papa Roach playing with my brother, or my best friend's like brother's band, and like, but it was all it all like meshed, and like
100%.
it was dope. It was great times,
Dude, it was awesome time. I do want to mention and give props to, and I'll probably look back and I should have mentioned this band, that band. There's one band specifically from that Bay Area, Funketeer group that we're talking about. I mentioned those other bands, but there was one also called the Limbo Maniacs.
Okay.
The Limbo Maniacs. Now keep this in mind right here. So I told you my personal journey, like Chico, jam with the band, Gilroy, Dutch Courage, jam with the band, I'm rapping with the band. At that point, bro, honestly, there wasn't a whole lot of other that we had heard of bands with a rap. Yes, Run DMC did Walk This Way with Aerosmith.
Right.
Yes, PE did Bring the Noise with Anthrax, which is why I said that. And the Beastie Boys weren't rapping on the end playing yet.
Right.
Rage wasn't out yet.
Right.
Korn was kind of coming out, but they were just so there was one band when I was in high school called the Surf MCs.
Okay.
But the one band, and I want to give props to East Bay, the Limbo Maniacs, were by, in my opinion, by far the dopest live band with a rapper. We're talking, as far as I know, we're talking 90, 91.
Yeah.
To where they were like a very, 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 very good template. And Merv was the guitar player, and Merv is phenomenal. And he went on to his own act. Brain was their drummer. I think he still drums for Primus now. Nice. And so like those guys, they were all intertwined, but Limbo Maniacs, and we did a lot of shows with Merv too. Cool guy, man. That guy is so cool. I wanted to give them props because they were like a real, like, dude, Limo's down, they're cool. And we went to Berkeley the day of the Oakland fires, and we saw Primus, Anthrax, Public Enemy, and Young Black Teenagers.
I've heard that name. I don't know where I heard that name, but I heard that name.
Yeah. All right. So at the very end of that show, Les is on bass, on stage with Terminator X, and they just started like they were just like, I forgot who went first.
Yeah.
and I'm going to paraphrase what we saw. So, Les does like a,
Yeah.
and then Terminator does a, and then Les does a, and then Terminator does a,
Yeah.
so they're matching. And then it was every one of them getting more complicated until it was just like a full blown, like it was. And so we're
That's
like,
insane.
yeah, dude, it was sick. And then they went into Bring the Noise. Anthrax comes out, Public Enemy, Primus, and so me and my buddies were there. Me and my Dutch Courage buddies, and we had just started to jam, and we were like, this was the thought, bro. Because this is another important moment.
Yeah.
Bring the Noise was a seminal song done by seminal bands, but it was just one song.
Yeah.
And we're like, why don't we do like every song? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be some special event like Run DMC and Aerosmith were like some weird, not weird, but unique. Like, let's do every song like that. You know what I mean? So that really opened our eyes. And that's why I wanted to mention that.
That's so interesting, man. So, okay. So was anybody doing it before Bring the Noise? Like, or was Bring the Noise the pinpoint of like the pinnacle of the branching out? You know what I mean? Like, because nobody had ever heard anything like that, you know?
As far as I know, I don't know when the Limbo Maniacs started.
Yeah.
And I can't remember when Bring the Noise came out.
Yeah.
But I would imagine Limbo was inspired by Bring the Noise. I think a lot of bands were by Bring the Noise. I don't know because I'm not, I don't have timelines, but
no, sure.
And I certainly don't want to misquote, but I just but Bring the Noise was an eye opener when it comes to crossing, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, pfft. And even then, it was still kind of like, I look back and I'm surprised at myself that I didn't have that thought immediately. I'm surprised I didn't think that's cool. Let's just do that every song. It was more like, just like everyone else, or like most people. Yeah. I was like, yeah, that's awesome.
It makes total sense. You're like, it makes total sense. Now let's go do it.
Yeah.
That's but what was going on in the West Coast to make so many bands on the West Side come out with that, like, that flavor? You know what I mean? Like, was it the funk of the West Coast funk, West Coast pop lock and all that? You know, I think a lot of that. I'm just asking myself right now as I'm talking to you.
I think
maybe you got an idea, you know?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of factors, a couple of different variables. You've got the natural evolution going on, right? You got people vibing out on this and that, and they mix and they match and the hybrid and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But as far as the Bay Area specifically is concerned, when I look at someone like Primus, who had their start in the 80s, late 80s, no doubt. And I remember when I was like looking at who influenced Primus, and they had some eccentric influences. Like I remember the Residents and stuff like that. But they also had a funk influence. The Meters and stuff like that, like real funk. And it came out in their sound, and because in my opinion, a lot of youth in that area, they gravitated towards that sound.
Yeah.
The Bay Area has a history of funk,
right? And the hippie movement too. You know, I mean, like I think it was the melting pot of all that.
Yeah, man, the Doobie Brothers and Santana and all those guys, and there's a lot of people that we'll never even know about, right?
Right.
But straight funk, and so Primus, in my opinion, like had funk as not their only element, but it was a big element in what they were doing.
Yeah. It
was so unique that kids were drawn to it. And so it enabled them to play with Fungo Mungo and Psychofunkopus and Limbo Maniacs. And each one of those bands had their own style in and of themselves, but they were all funky. You know what I'm saying? were funky singers, some were funky rappers,
Yeah.
some were just like more. It was just awesome in that sense. So it just kind of just really influenced a whole. Not only did it influence a lot of bands, it influenced a lot of different types of bands.
Right. Well, I think
rad, dude.
it's just funny because even the names, like you're telling me, you're calling off these names like Limo Maniacs, and it reminds me of the dance crews from the '80s. You know what I mean? They had some crazy names, you know, and like, you know, like Cold Crush, and you know, but they once it started spreading to the West Coast, then it just kind of like the West Coast not took over, but they just made it huge. You know, I heard about LA, like Radiotronic and all that stuff, and you know, those dance clubs. And it's funny because, like I said, my brother like introduced me to that, but I felt like I always knew about it because at that time I was like 6, 7 years old. You know, I was just a little kid, but my brother and his friends would break dance in the garage, and I'd be like, I want to try. They're like, no, dude, you're too young. But I would hear, and I just absorbed all of it. So it came out for me later, you know, but it was there. It's still there. It's all there. Like, I always think of when KRS-One said, like, in one of his albums, he's like, you're not doing hip hop, you are hip hop. And I'm like, oh, I am hip hop, you know what I mean? Like, just as much as I am rock and roll, and I am heavy metal, and I am soul, and I'm all of that, you know what I mean? Like,
man.
It's in my core, you know?
Yeah, bro.
So, okay, so when Salmon, what was Salmon's like pinnacle point, would you say, in the mid-90s?
So you know, things were going good, like I was saying, 91, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
It was just a constant upward trajectory in the sense of songs are getting better, shows are getting better, more people, 100, 200, sometimes 300 heads. Yeah. And by that point, the buzz starts reaching into the ears of the record companies, right?
There you go.
Unbeknownst to us, by the way, we were pretty clueless. And around that same time, the Deftones, they were packing even bigger venues. Right. Not huge, super huge, but enough to where it was like 400 or 500 heads consistently. Right. And their shows were just off the hook, as you know. Yep. And then, so anyways, so about 90, I'm going to say 95-ish, late 95. Are you familiar with, well, I'm sure you've heard of Sublime. So Sublime, you got Sublime and you got Skunk Records. Yeah. And then you have John Phillips, who managed Skunk Records. Okay. John Phillips has a brother, Matt Phillips. Okay. So you got Long Beach. John's down there doing his thing with Skunk. Matt's still going to college in San Ho. Yeah. He starts to come to our shows on a regular basis. I didn't know him at the time. So he's coming. He has a good time. So, one show he had such a good time, He had such a good time that he told his brother, and they have an uncle, Randy Phillips, who I don't know where he's at right now, but he was a CEO-ish guy with I want to say RCA Records. Okay. He was in the record industry up there, like a big wig kind of guy. And they told, hey, Uncle Randy, you should probably come check out these guys. They're drawing a lot of people. And so, unbeknownst to us, we played a show at, in Palo Alto called The Edge. And there was a lot of people there, dude. And it was a good show. Dope. And it was we could not have asked for a better venue to impress a record guy. Dope. Even though we didn't, our manager was smart enough not to tell us. And so,
so you just go out and play. So you're not like, you don't freak out or anything. Yeah.
And so, so we did. And Randy flew back to Hollywood. Yeah. Told the rest of the big wigs. They had just started a record company called Red Ant. Okay. And I don't know if you remember, but this was, remember when alternative music was still alternative.
Yeah.
And there was like, people were starting to like realize that if you were mainstream, you weren't as cool as the alternative.
Right.
Even if you were cool and good.
Right.
So the alternative look and sound,
Yeah.
and these big wigs thought it wise to, and I give them props for their savviness on this. They said, hey, we've got the money of a major record company, but if we start signing bands with that sort of look, they're going to look way too mainstream. So let's start a quote unquote alternative record label,
or like underground kind of.
Yeah. Called Red Ant Records.
Okay.
So they started Red Ant. That's when Randy comes, goes back, gives a good report. Within a few weeks, all of the bigwigs fly. We all meet at San Jose, a nice restaurant. And it was like a scene from one of those movies where you got this big table, and you got all the big wigs, then you got the young band guys, and they were like, they did a good job at whining and dining us. They really did.
Nice.
They filled our ears and eyes with all the Hollywood stories you could,
right.
And I don't think they were doing it maliciously. They were really truly sharing. Hey, this is what can be.
Right.
We think you guys have talent, and so on and so forth.
Right.
And then they offered us a deal. And John Phillips, the guy who's running Skunk, was there at this dinner, kind of like as an A&R go-between kind of guy.
Right. A liaison to the younger cats.
Yeah. So they made us an offer. We said, hold on, let us go outside for a second. So we went outside, and it was us four and our manager, Gary. Gary's super cool. Props to Gary Avila. And so we were like, well, here's the offer. 7 years, seven albums. They give us like 100 and something G's for the first record.
Wow.
Which this money, looking back, I mean, it was a lot for back then, but you got to use that money to record. You got to use that money, whatever. So, and it goes up with each record. We're like, well, I mean, we don't have any business sense. We're like, yeah. But the reason we said truly was because John Phillips was in the room, and we knew that he led a grassroots, real band and act in Sublime.
Yeah, that
was good. It had credential. So we're like, okay, because if John would not have been there, it would have been kind of more cheeseball, like,
right.
So that was a pivotal moment. Obviously, we all then quit our jobs. We all, we got a band. The record company bought us a band van, a trailer, all the new equipment that the musicians wanted. And so then the some tours started, small tours, but that was like that era right there, from that show that Randy Phillips came to, over the next, I would say from that point to like the next year, where there was several months of like, hey, we might get signed.
Yeah.
Word starting to spread. P. Roach, who hadn't got signed yet.
Yeah.
But we knew they were on their way.
Yeah.
And so like momentum is building for a lot of us.
Right.
By this time we'd met, Snot and Incubus and No Doubt.
Yeah.
And 311 and Korn. And so like, again, none of these bands were that big, dude. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I saw them. Yeah, I saw. Yeah.
Like you knew they were going to be big, but they weren't quite yet.
Right.
And so because they just had so much.
It was
juice.
like the tipping point. Yeah.
The tipping point, bro, for sure, man.
Yeah.
And so that would be 95, 96.
Yeah. great times. I still think about those times. It's like, man, I went to so many good shows, man.
Yeah, and you know what's funny about that era was, I think, and maybe this is the same for you.
Sure.
I think for a lot of people, none of us really had any clue about just how blessed and fortunate we all were.
For sure.
To be a part of that. It was a very innocent. There's this book by LA coach Pat Riley called The Innocent Climb, where there's this climb, whether it's a sport team or a band or whatever, that you are authentically and innocently climbing to some sort of level of success, but not knowing you're doing it.
Right.
And you might have a hope here and there somewhere, but like really you're not doing it for money or fame, because you're like, dude, that seems like a pipe dream.
Right.
You're just stoked on the fact that you're getting good. You're stoked that the shows are getting bigger.
Yeah.
You're stoked you're getting attention, let's just say. We'll just leave it at that.
Right.
You know, like on the selfish side of the coin, right?
Sure.
You're stoked on lots of different things.
Yeah.
And your love of music, obviously, you're using your gifts and your talents, and it's just a whole combination of all those things. But anyways, like to echo what you were saying, that era right there was golden. None of us knew because the internet really hadn't broken through yet.
No,
and so,
not at all.
So it was still like very organic.
It was word of mouth, but like the bands were playing the clubs, and that's where the kids were going, were the clubs, and that's how you found out. You'd see the lineups that they built for who's coming on next week, and then you'd hear and then MTV kind of caught on too, Headbangers Ball, and Headbangers Ball had already started, but and then 120 minutes, and then you would hear these bands that were signed that made videos, and then you'd see them and be like, they're coming to town, let's go. But it wasn't, the big arena. It was the smaller, like Soma was a smaller club. It wasn't a huge.
I remember I had heard of Soma, and I think we played there with Fishbone, which was a huge Fishbone. Angela Moore as a frontman was a huge influence on me, because that guy's a true frontman for sure.
Still going. Did you see that benefit they did for Bad Brains where he sang?
No.
Yeah, they just did a benefit for Bad Brains. They did a benefit for HR because he's got medical bills and stuff. But he sang. He fronted through the whole show, and he's just still just energetic and just popping. Man, great.
Yeah, dude.
So sick.
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember I would listen to Fishbone when I was at Chico. Okay. And, just partying, listen to Fishbone, good party. And I remember, when I saw some of their videos, dude, this guy's off the hook, man. Yeah. And before I forget, I wanted to say, too, real quick, I had mentioned that first band, Dutch Courage. Yeah. And how, bands came from that. Flat Planet. And then one band, Willie's Conception, was super good. And because Dutch Courage, at about the half-year point, we got another rapper. Yeah. My man, High Rise. And that guy, he's still one of my favorite rappers. Not just because he's my bro, but that guy is sick. So anyways, Willie's Conception was started. They were another good band. And had they, in my opinion, seriously pursued, I think they could have cracked. Cool. I remember Chi from the Deftones. Yeah. Watching them and going, dude, these guys are sick. So they just had that sound too. Funky. I just wanted to throw that out real quick. And but anyway, so 96, 97, signed, began to tour, small tours. And as far as a pivotal Salmon point, it was during that year or two, we played at the Shoreline Amphitheater, not the main stage, at the Shoreline Amphitheater, I must say, but they had it was I think it was called Camp KOME, KOME was a radio station, and they put on like a summer music festival at Shoreline Amphitheater. And so they had a couple different stages. We played on this one stage. Still a lot. There was a lot of heads there.
Yeah.
And there was this big half pipe.
Nice.
And pro skaters there. And I remember this is a cool moment. I remember I looked up, and Steve Caballero.
Yeah.
Steve Caballero was at the top.
Yeah.
And he was looking down, and because he had played in lots of bands in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
That's how I got to know.
Yeah.
I remember I looked up, and he looked at me. He's like, "Give me a little nod."
Yeah.
I remember in that moment thinking like, "This is pretty cool."
Hey.
Like I get to play in front of like hundreds and hundreds of kids.
Yeah.
With my band.
Yeah.
Cab is up there.
Yeah. Giving respect. Yeah.
And dude, that's so cool. It's like there were several moments
for sure
that were just like golden, man. You cannot put a price on those moments. And but yeah, that I would say 96, 97 was like the height of Salmonism.
Yeah. So how do you feel about the term rap rock or like new metal? How do you feel about those?
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of either one of those.
I'm not a fan. I'll never forget
because that started floating around, in the after that.
Yeah, bro. I'll never forget Ad Rock from the Beastie Boys. I forget what song it was, but he slyly threw this lyric in. Goatee metal rap, please say good night.
Oh,
I'm like, oh, that's a major diss.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm like, I have a goatee.
Yeah.
I'm like, but Ad Rock, I look up to you, bro. Like, you know what I mean? It was like one of those weird cognitive.
That had to be off like Hello Nasty, I'm sure, because that was kind of after the fact, I think.
Yeah. So, because I've never been a big fan of those of those terms, new metal and rap stuff. A lot of times people ask me, when music comes up, the band comes up, they're like, "What kind of music would you play?"
Rock.
It was a combination of funk and so. But I was not a big fan of rap. Rock is okay. But new metal is definitely. I'm like, no.
Yeah, that's a corporate term, I believe.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, and even the bands that were grouped into that, all those, I feel sorry for them as well.
Right.
I feel like I don't think many of them like that either, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. The PR guy who wrote grunge also wrote probably new metal. I'll just say it, bro. They're both bad, and I grew up with both of them. So,
and that same guy probably wrote alternative.
Exactly. Respect. Nice. So, where did your vocal style come from? Well, you said rap, obviously, like.
Oh yeah, as far as.
But you've got kind of I don't mean spastic in a negative way. I mean like in a so like you said Fishbone for sure, and like.
Oh yeah, what's funny about that question, bro, is, I'm sure you've heard this. Imitation is the highest form of flattery, right? So, and when you're starting out. In my opinion, let me speak for myself. When I was starting out,
sure,
especially that first band, Dutch Courage. So I got my own band, or not my own band, but I'm with the band, and I'm the only rapper because my friend Brian High Rise hadn't stepped on the mic yet. So now I'm rapping, and I'm trying to find my voice.
Yeah,
and no joke. I was rapping like this on the microphone, just like Les.
There you go.
I'm like copying Les's nasal.
Yeah.
Hey, and it got to the point where my bandmates were like, "Hey, bro,
breathe, bro, breathe, please."
Yeah, you gotta breathe.
You gotta breathe.
They're like, "Lord, you're not Les, bro."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah."
Which is funny, and just to be 100% honest, is the reason I don't like Primus, is because of his voice. I love
Because
everything about Primus, but I don't like his voice.
Right.
But that's their style, you know, and that's cool. I respect their style, but my bass player that I've known since high school, he loves Primus, and he would play like Jerry was a race car driver, and he'd just jam, and I'd be like, that's dope. Yeah. But then I'd hear their music, and I was like, ooh, it's a little too much for me. But that's just me. That's just me. That's my favorite, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So then when I was like, okay, I was able to get on the mic. I got I got something going on, and it was then I realized I got to find my own voice. So then I started to lean back on the old school guys who were influencing me, whether it was the Beastie Boys or Chuck D.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when I first heard Chuck D, Public Enemy, their first album, Yo Bum Rush the Show.
Yeah.
I remember me and my buddy went down to the local tape shop.
Yeah.
They had all 8 hip-hop tapes that were available at the time. We had all 8. We're like, well, when's the next tape going to come out?
Yeah.
And we see Public Enemy, and we saw the cover. We're like, it looks like it could be rap. It's on Def Jam, so let's just buy it.
Yeah.
So we put it in, and you got this baritone, hey, man, hey, man. And then like this, the Terminator X crazy style, the way he kind of like rhythmic chaos, like.
Yeah.
And my friend who bought the tape, he didn't like it.
Wow.
And I'm like, can I have it? And so I went home, and no joke, best I can remember, I sat in my room for a couple hours and forced myself to listen to it 2 or 3 times. And by the 3rd or 4th time, I was like,
get it. These
cats are on some other tip,
yeah,
but I get it now. Okay, so so his vocal style, his cadence has a big influence. I like 90% of rappers wanted to be like Ad Rock, but no one's like Ad Rock.
Right.
So as far as like delivery goes, LL was a sick flower in his day. When he was at his prime, you know, I'm Bad and Rock the Bells, like those, he had a sick delivery.
Yep. Just style, mad style, man.
Yeah. So those guys, those ones that stick out. Oh, you know who I like, bro, was Mantronics.
Okay.
Mantronics, one of those groups that didn't get super popular, but like all DJs and like hardcore hip hop heads like know who Mantronics is. And so, anyways, those are like the influences that I can think of off the bat that in those early years, until I felt confident, like, okay, well, I'm just a conglomeration of all these cats.
Yeah. And
so I'm going to start sharing my commentary on what's going on in the world, you know?
Sure.
So,
Nice. All right. Well, let me play some Salmon. So anybody that's listening will get an idea of what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to start with Q, because I asked you which songs you wanted to hear. And, yeah.
What is the chance that the romance stands in the stance of a fucked up trance? None! And that state of dawn, lay none to the odds of a million the waters in the water. Drop the funk that does every little thing how you like it, cause but because of the bass and the boom, do your part, you grind up a session room, I think so, and I know that I see, and a little think you're reading the tree, so let's face the fact that the walk, come straight through the gate, and let's do the talk, your work, let they flow like a plug, let's run, cause you talk, judge, but it seems that
just that energy, man, you know, I wouldn't even call it aggression. It's just like pumped, you know? Like I hear it and it gets me pumped, man, you know, like it's dope. But then like once you brought up Bring the Noise, I get it, you know, like it's very energetic.
Different rays of shine
Any notes on this song? Anything you got to say about this song in particular?
Oh, that right there, the knack, that we actually have a song called The Knack. We sampled ourselves. Like,
Respect, yeah.
So, the reason the song is called Q,
Yeah.
because I'm just asking questions.
No, yeah. Oh, okay.
So, question is like, what are the weak until they are strong? Where does your heart properly belong? Why do teardrops burn? You know, like, I'm just asking these questions, like,
Yeah.
so, kind of like a stream of consciousness.
Yeah.
I remember when I wrote that, I'm just like, yeah, why do teardrops burn? You know?
Yeah.
And then so, yeah. So yeah, the song's called Q because there's a lot of not all the lyrics are questions, but most.
Yeah.
of
I
the
mean, it
lyrics are
sounds
just
like, like a very, not spastic in the negative way, but a very
Yeah.
spastic, just like,
And
what is going
I
on?
actually-
What are we doing? What's going on here? What are we?
Yeah. And then that's funny. I forgot about that little part where the knack, like we sampled ourselves. Like we had a song called The Knack that we did,
Yeah.
and we're like, hey, I honestly can't remember.
Did the knack
do-
come
I mean-
first or did Q come first? Is that what you don't remember? You're like, I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure the knack. I'm pretty sure they were like in the same
Okay.
few months of birth
Stream.
of each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the knack was definitely first.
Yeah.
And then I think I don't know. We were just kind of half joking, like let's insert part of our other songs into this,
Yeah. That's great.
and it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was this your guys' first production, first album?
So when
That wasn't like demo or anything, but this is the major, the
oh yeah, so we did an independent EP
okay.
with money given to us by a girl named Ash, who has since passed on. Much respect to Ash. We met her at the Berkeley Square. She believed in us. She gave us money
Dope.
to record a CD.
Yeah.
We recorded, I think, 9 songs, I believe, 8 or 9 songs. That CD was called Flourish with Candies. When we got signed to a record contract, they were okay with our first album being those 9 songs
Yeah.
plus a couple more.
Right.
Because those songs were so that was it was
Developed.
It was
They were so developed already.
yes, and not only were they so developed, but like it was on the strength of those songs that really kind of got us where we got. So it made sense to distribute those songs on a nationwide basis, right? Like otherwise, those songs would have been kind of forgotten.
Right.
And so they were like, "No, these songs are dope. Let's get them on the album. You guys just write a few more, and then we'll release it." So Q was on First with Candies. It was on Paco Drop the Chicken. So a lot of people, in fact, probably most people who ever got into Salmon were most likely, unless you were from the area, unaware of Flourish with Candies. They were more familiar with Paco Drop the Chicken that had the nice songs from Flourish. Does that make sense?
Gotcha.
So, but Q was the first song because it was just like, it's a banger. And most shows we either open or close with Q. It just has that feel, you know?
Sure.
So, but yeah, that was, I think that was the first time that we recorded on a CD that was in a half decent studio. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, I'm gonna play Starflakes next.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh yeah. And so this is where you're really going to hear, if you didn't already, you can hear in the first song, but
Yeah.
the guitar player's crazy, unique style really comes out in this one. He's doing these crazy, like,
harmonics. Yeah.
Dude, this guy, this is cool.
Well, that's the great. Like I said earlier, it's funny because when when he would show me his stuff, I was like, "Where are you getting this from?" And then I heard you guys. I was like, "Oh, like that." But he's completely capable, and that's why I always tell. I was like, "Dude, I'm your biggest fan, bro. Like, you need to be in the band. You need to be, and whatever, life happens and stuff. But still, I'm just like." Híjole, like, man. The Starflex.
These ears through years have heard cries of your eyes, cheers is the word. Cuts, ruts, sluts, mutts, putts, all around gluts, all around such as these. Occupy cheese, roll, go, no soul, vertical freeze. Temple dirt, dust on the floor, window block, black rocks on the shore. Burn, durham stains, remains firm. Paint and frame, proclaim a lame term. Dunce does dance, deserves no chance. His half step, hurry up, pump steps, tramps on. Yabs on the globe, before told privacy. Sweat up, bet, so break your hypothesis. Still I grab the mic and say, throw the files of all the way. I tell I'm the one who runs from the sun. I like the way my victory's begun. I crack a smile, crack a grin and crack laugh. Crack the case and place an autograph. I'm dropping bombs on the plans of the evil man. They demand my hand, cause my hand they can't stand. Making boys through the body, who party I foil. I toil and spoil, never cut it with oil. Breathe on, leech and archery the ball. I got the know-how now, and I go by the ball. Take a fire and the sound, I spew volcanic. Panic and manic, and I was just get frantic.
It's so dope, bro. It's dope because it doesn't sound like anything else to me.
These ears through years have heard cries of your eyes, pain is the word. When these drop to the knees, some say please to continue their season. Tease and believe in the myth that they're leading. Comes to a palm around, there's no treason. Too much eat, ingredients get more like a vice, not nice to upset. Your door in which you pour the core of the whore, what you only wants more. Ears still ring, it's time stand still. When it's all over, will I overkill? Proverbial path on the path they shall last, but it's not allowed from a cloud in its past. Creating a myth, people taking the jet, ending up in a world where you will get hella bits while you wait and debate at the gates. Looks like it's time to mistake, it's too late. Am I going too fast? Man, should I slow down and take a look around? What's to be found? Who's to be had? Who's to be sad? So in the groove, it ain't full like that. No, just show that the foe has become much more talented. A finger and thumb, from the dome to the hand, pen to the pad, dome to the stage. No, that's the bad. I got a sick ass flight. People who need not a canona for the people who read as and got a big time loss.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, there's a couple of different reasons why I picked that song.
Yeah.
Because what Aaron's doing on the guitar is crazy, but like there's like 3 different groove templates that I get to flow over.
Yeah.
And each one for me personally brought to life like this special, unique,
creativeness. Like you want to
creativeness in each one,
Yeah.
And so I've noticed that maybe you can get with this too.
Sure.
I've noticed that the doper a groove and or beat or both, the more like if I'm going to be flowing, the more just pure naturally, the more comes out. Like the more passion and zeal and energy.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. If you have written something that means the world to you,
then
it's going to come out fire, beat or no beat.
Sure.
But at the same time, I will say this, that if you do have dope accompaniment,
Yeah.
it's like adding fuel to the fire, man. You know?
Yeah.
And I've noticed that like I'll write lyrics, I'll practice the lyrics, maybe to like a basic beat on my own, or maybe with the band. And then for whatever reason, let's just say some other dope groove is discovered, and we're like, dude, forget that other groove. Let's use this dope one. And then same lyrics get put on that. And over the time, I actually see, oh, hey, dude, I'm actually enunciating that word differently.
Yeah.
The flow's different right there.
Yeah.
Maybe not totally, but there's always some crazy little, and in my opinion, it's our essence responding to what we're harmonizing with, right? And so you don't sit back and plan that stuff. It just happens.
Right.
And so, and if it's dope, it just comes out, bro. And so that makes sense.
I think that's the soul. That's the soul of everything. You know what I call soul music? Right. Soul music is the most potent, you know what I mean, of either energy or flavor or style but then the groove is the sound that goes behind the soul. You know what I mean? The soul is the lead train, and the groove is like the caboose, you know what I mean? And it just keeps everything in line, you know? But that soul is what drives everything, you know? And I'm just hearing what you're saying, and that's what I'm thinking, you know? But I get it, because all of my favorite music has those elements, you know what I mean? Like, and I was, like I said, I was talking to that guitarist from New York, you know, and he was just like, you know, we did this song, and there's their newest song that they put out. And I was like, dude, that solo reminded me of like Dimebag from Pantera. He's like, dude, that solo just came out like that day, the recording. It was real, it wasn't planned out. And I was like, doesn't all the best things happen that way? He's like, exactly. I'm like, exactly. And that's where the soul just shines, you know, it's just in the moment, in that moment. That's when those things happen, you know. It's just the way it is. That's the natural process, you know.
Yeah,
I agree with that. You know, I feel that, and those are my favorite types of things to hear. You know, because I can tell. Like, I'll know if I like a song within the first like 10, 20 seconds. You know,
right.
And you know, I've repeated myself in this way so many times, but people call me picky or call me like a snob, and it's like, no, dog, it's just I know what I like, and I can't help it, you know. And it's like I'm not talking trash. I'm just that's what I got. I gravitate towards what I like, and that's what I like, you know. And so sue me. I don't know, what am I supposed to say?
Right.
You know?
Nah, man, that's all. That is every bit your. I wouldn't use the word "you're right," but that sounds like we don't even need to have rights to like what we're gonna like, you know.
No.
But I'm just gonna say, like, that's you're gonna like what you're gonna like, man, because it appeals to your heart, your soul, and your mind.
Yeah.
And to whatever level you teach one of those, but yeah, man.
It's just my palate. It's the way I like my flavors. That's all
totally.
it is. It means nothing to anyone else. That's fine. That's just the way I like my things, you know?
Right.
You know? All right, respect. So you've got a new project going on, or some new music going on. Respect. And so what is the name of what you're doing now, please?
It's pronounced. No, dude, a lot of people are like, how do you pronounce it? It's Dunamis Rhema. Dunamis Rhema. And actually, the official title of our organization is Dunamis Rhema Ministries. It's a ministry that me and my bro, Vito, started. And there's a band. It's like, if you picture like an umbrella, underneath this umbrella, we're going to have, you know, speakers, teachers, artists, dancers, this and that and the other.
Yeah.
And yes, a band.
Yeah.
Of which, like, I obviously be a part of that.
Of
And so, but the vision was, as I came out of Salmon, and the end of Salmon was like, for me personally, I was just drinking way too much.
Sure.
And just wrecking my life. And so I had my moment with Jesus, like literally with Jesus. And, so, I grew up in church, and I just brushed off and did my thing. And I came to the point of like, well, I'm either going to keep drinking until I die. Like that was my literal thought in my head. Like, I am purposefully going to keep drinking until I die. Like until I run this van into a wall. I don't care.
Yeah.
Everything sucks. That's how deep I was into alcohol.
Yeah.
So, and then, the day came. It was October 28th, 2001 or 2001, and yeah, man. I just it's a crazy story. I had $400 left in my pocket, and like I said, I was just like bottom of the barrel, like. And I was like, I got $400. I'm gonna call up a hooker and spend my last $400 on this escort.
Yeah.
And so I called her, arranged the place and time. I drove from Gilroy to San Jose, drinking Sierra Nevada bottles on the way up there. And I'm not even carrying. I get to this apartment complex, and I'm walking around the apartment complex looking for what she told me, where she told me to go.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure in the spiritual realm there were angels pushing me. No.
Sure.
And so I couldn't fight it. Go back to the van, and I have to. I got to whiz now, right? So I'm like whizzing, trying to whiz in the Sierra Nevada bottle.
Yeah.
And piss is like flying up everywhere. And I remember I had this moment where I looked in the rearview mirror. And it was like, in my mind's eye, I said to myself, "What the are you doing?"
Yeah.
And I proceeded to call my friend, the drummer who you actually heard on the EP there.
Yeah.
Who his girlfriend was a stripper at a strip club. We went there, we partied, and I drove back, or I'm sorry, I ended up in Gilroy. I didn't drive. But then anyways, the next morning, same thing. I'm going to use this for this $400 that I didn't spend on this, on a hooker. When I opened up the phone book, I happened to be looking down at the phone number for Full Gospel Per Tabernacle. That's the church that I grew up on the east side of Gilroy.
Wow.
So I'm like, I kind of heard like the still small voice of God, call her, or her meaning Pastor Esther, call her. I'm like, all right, let's say dial it. And sure enough, she answers the phone. Now keep in mind, I had not talked to Pastor Esther in we're talking a good 20 years.
Wow.
And so she answers the phone. I'm like, Esther, Pastor Esther? She's like, yeah. I'm like, this is Lawrence. She's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm like, can I go over there? She said, yes. So I'm driving the van across Gilroy, and it was one of those days where it's cloudy over there, it's sunny over there.
Yeah.
It's raining hard over here. A disorganized storm is what I call it.
Right.
So I pull up to the stop sign right before the church, and there was this moment, bro. It started to pour hard in front of me, and the sun was shining from behind me, and the sun is shining on the rain, and it made it look like a bunch of crystal.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's really cool looking.
Yeah.
And on the radio, for the first time, the whole 15-minute drive, I realized the radio was on. I'm like, oh, what song? What? I don't remember the station, the name of the song, or the band. All I remember was this, bro. The words that were coming up out of the radio were this: the angels are welcoming you home.
Wow.
While I'm seeing this beautiful picture in front of me, and it was like this moment where I'm like, I'm in the right place. Yeah. So I park the van. I go in the church. I spill my guts to Pastor Esther. I'm doing this. I'm doing that, and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, are you ready to give your life up to Jesus? Mm-hmm. I'm like, yes, absolutely. So I just gave my life to Jesus, man. And I told the guys in Salmon, we had 2 shows left, and I took them outside after a show. Like, this would have been like a week after this particular event. So I take them outside, said, "Hey guys, we got 2 more shows booked. I'll play them, but then I'm done. I've given my life to Jesus." And they were looking at me like they believed me,
Right.
and they knew that I was spitting truth. They knew that I was doing the right thing, but they were also not fully comprehending because they don't have
Right.
They just don't believe. And so that's not a knock. That's just the fact.
No.
So it was just like, well, okay. We played the last 2 shows, and I went back to college, Bethany Bible College, got my BA in psychology. And this will lead up to Dunamis Rhema. So then I for 8 years, I was a behavior therapist working with special needs children, one-on-one, a lot of therapy with these little kids, man. Little kids who cannot help themselves. They need serious therapy, and meaning like drills and playtime, but they need someone to show them a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I did it for 8 years, and it was during that time when the vision was born, because this, bro. Music never leaves you. The passion for music. So the whole time I'm like, I know I'm going to start a band again.
Yeah.
And there was several iterations of some music. There was a band called Northwell that I did with some fellow Christian brothers, and then Dunamis Rhema Ministries. The idea for this is this: a team, like I said before, speakers, preachers, teachers, artists, dancers, bombers, graffiti writers, the whole team, and then like a platform, if you will, a foundation. Yes, like drummer, 2 guitar players, bass player, keyboardist. When I say keyboardist, I mean like Hammond B3 old school funk organ.
Yeah.
DJ, horns, 1 rapper, 2 rappers, 1 singer, 2 singers, female singer, like the whole 9, bro.
Yeah.
Like that's what I figured. And so Dunamis Rhema Ministries, Lord willing, will take us out and about to do things in cities and villages wherever God leads. So to share the gospel that I know not everyone is down for, but at the same time, that's where I'm at. Yeah. And in the interim, in 2006, and this is important to share with you, in 2006, I was jumped at a party.
Wow.
Wrong place. They didn't know me. I didn't know them. I was jumped, and I ended up going to a coma. And I was in a coma for 12 hours.
Wow.
And so when I came out of it, and as I was recovering, journaling, praying, asking like, "Hey God, why did you give me another chance?" It's like little kids that don't get a second chance at life.
Mm-hmm.
And here I've lived, I'm like, I've had a good life, and I felt like God was saying, your time is not up yet, and I want you to go share the realness, the reality of who Jesus is, the love, most importantly, the love that trumps everything, and the hope and the good news and all. Anyway, so I was like, okay, yes. I mean, how could I say no? Like, the grace was given to me to breathe life again. So, but it was during that time when the vision for Dunamis Rhema was born. Dunamis and Rhema are 2 Greek words. Dunamis is the Greek word for power, the power of God. The power of God that rose Jesus from the dead. Power. Where we get the word dynamite from. Dunamis. Rhema, R-H-E-M-A, is our words. Is the Greek word for words that bring life, words that speak life, words that give life. Mm-hmm. The words that Jesus spoke were just all about just life, man. Like just wanting to give people freedom and break them from the chains of bondage and to speak life and love over people. So Dunamis Rhema, the power of the word of God. So Dunamis Rhema Ministries. So the song that I sent you, bro, is called Officer. And it's funny because Are you familiar with The Chosen, that show?
No.
So it started off as I think it's called crowdfunding streaming show, like on YouTube.
Okay.
Where like they would release an episode, and if you liked it and wanted to donate, people would send in their money.
Okay.
Giving them the funds to make another show.
Okay.
And so they did that for like a season or two. They've gotten to the point where now they can actually release their episodes at the theater.
Oh,
so I just went last Sunday with my friend Rachel and her family, and we watched The Chosen season 4, episodes 3 and 4, I believe. And there's a scene, and the producer Dallas Jenkins and his production house, it's called Fishers and Loaves. They do a really, 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 really good job at depicting the life of Jesus and his disciples. They use a lot of creative license. They kind of have to, like if you're creating everyday life and conversation, right? You can't. I mean, the Bible only tells us so much, right?
Right.
So like they really go into developing these characters, and it's super cool in that sense. I feel like it's a powerful way to reach people who maybe they're just kind of they're kind of over like the churchy religion version that they've heard.
Yeah.
So I want to see something very real. So it's good. It's good for that. So there was a scene in there. There's a Roman, because picture this. You got Jesus. He's a Jew. His disciples are Jewish. Yeah. But the Jewish leaders of his day hate Jesus. Right. Because they're like, this guy's crazy. He thinks he's the son of God. He's crazy. They're like, they want to kill him. They got the Jews. Then you got the Romans, who are like kind of basically like ruling over the over the Jews.
Yeah. The empire, basically.
Yeah, the empire. There you go. Yeah. So there's this, and and the Romans have like Pontius Pilate, and they've got proconsuls. They got military leaders. Yeah. There's this one centurion that in Scripture it tells the story. The centurion, the officer, the song is called The Officer, goes to Jesus and he's like, "Yo, my son is sick. I know who you are. Right. I know you can do this. You just say the word and my son will be healed. Because I have authority and I'm under authority. And if I tell my servant to go do something, they're going to go do it. And I know you, Jesus, I've seen you heal people. I believe in you. If you know what, I'm not worthy for you to come to my house. Just say the word and I know my son will be healed." And so sure enough, he goes home and the son's healed. And so the song is called Officer because it's us saying, I want to be like the officer. Basically, we're just saying, I want to have faith like that, right? Right. Like I want to have faith and just like is rock solid. So, the song's called Officer, and you'll hear some phraseology in there that about what I just explained.
Let's go.
All right, bro.
Dunamis and assume the stance. I'ma open up my mouth and let the word roll out. Trust the Holy Spirit to erase all doubt. His orders carried out per what he sees. We have no faith, it's impossible to please. We have the best Father, all we gotta do is ask. Believe and receive, all we need to do the task. Give me faith, make me strong like David. Bring the lost soul through me, he'll save it. Give me your heart to make love a verb. I wanna be like the officer, say that word.
Make my attitude the same as Jesus Christ, who in God's nature came as human, laid it down. He was humble, he was a servant, in human likeness, death undeserving. Trained under your love, under your love. I want to be like the officer, I want to be like the officer. Say the word, say the word. Be like the officer, I want to be like the officer. Oh yeah.
I wanna be like Centurion, never hurrying. You say the word that sends enemies scurrying all the time. You're the rhyme, we the body, you're the answer to the riddle in the middle of a line. I totally surrender, let your will play out. Whatever that you render, I will trust, not doubt. I will only go where I see you going. I will only flow where I see you flowing. We have the winning team, all we gotta do is call. Call upon the one who got it now once and for all. Give us faith, make it strong like Moses as we fully realize we're the prize cause he chose us. Give us your heart to make love a verb. I wanna be like the officer, say that word.
Praise and glory to the Lamb, wisdom, thanks, and honor. Strength and power are yours, my Lord. Say amen, yes to the Lamb. Say amen, yes to the Lamb. Say amen, yes to the Lamb. Strength and power are yours, my Lord. Say amen, yes to the Lamb. I want to be like the officer. I want to be like the officer. Say the word. Say the word. Be like the officer. Be like the officer. Say the word. Say the word. Oh
Holy
yeah.
Spirit, give the command. Holy Spirit, give the command. Holy Spirit, give the command. Dunamis obedient right down to a man.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Definitely got those West Coast reggae vibes. I can feel that.
You know, what I call Cali reggae,
Yeah.
definitely popularized by, well, Sublime's kind of like the godfather of Cali reggae.
Yeah.
Then he got Slightly Stupid,
Yep.
and then a whole slew of bands,
Yep.
including the Expendables, who are here from Santa Cruz.
Yep.
And in fact, and indeed,
Yeah.
Matt Phillips and John Phillips, the two cats I mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
two brothers,
Yeah.
they if I'm not mistaken, to this day, they still run Silverback Management, who manages all of them cats.
Dope.
Expendables, Stupid, a whole lot of Cali reggae bands,
Yeah.
including, and they may manage some of those Hawaiian bands. I'm not sure about that, but they're all on that. They're all
Yeah.
over it.
And it's huge right now. That scene's huge.
Dude.
There's a band from LA I love. They're called the Rise Roots, and man, they're just so good. Like they're
Yeah,
so
bro.
dope. Yeah, they're dope. Well, thank you,
Yeah,
man.
so-
Yeah, respect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, anything you want to say? Anything on the out? Like whatever anything? You got anything
let's
you want to put out there? Any connections?
Yeah, I would
anybody can
say
make?
there is our website is DR Crew, so drcrew.org. DR for Dunamis Rhema, it says drcrew.org. You can go there, peruse the site, see a bunch of stuff, music and different pages. We're looking to really add different artists to that page, photographers, painters, dancers, whatever. And then, yeah, man, I just wanted to say to you, bro, that, you know, it took a lot of, in my opinion, patience and courage and just genuine love for what you're doing to spend time with me.
Respect.
Just a mutual friend, right? Because like you didn't even like know what you like did.
No.
You have respect for Chris, and so you're trusting his word.
Yeah.
Say the word. So like just like so I just wanted to let you know, bro, that I'm honored that you took the time and that you trust Chris enough to allow me this little window into your life, bro. And I think that what you're doing, I think that what you're doing overall, from what you explained, I encourage you to keep doing it.
Cool. Because
it really has all the variables that kind of like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Whether it's the variables that make a song or the variables that made up a scene or the variables that sounds to me like you have put yourself in a place to where you're combining these different variables into, into your page, into your broadcast. And so, man, I just want to give you props for putting your heart and soul into it. And you have a real knack for genuine flow of conversation. And like you said, you like to freestyle, and I can tell that your willingness to just vibe and let the conversation create some momentum and flow really just made this whole thing nice and neat, like just it is what it's seamless. So I just wanted to give you props, bro.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. A lot, man. That means a lot, actually. and this was a great conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, it means a lot to me because you're saying things that I resonate with very deeply. And, you know, it reaches back into my past and makes me think things. And the fact that you and I can connect in that way is very special. It means something.
Yeah, bro.
You know what I'm saying? And that's just love, respect, you know, and truth. You know, I think truth is the underlying pulse of all of it.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro. Absolutely, man. Absolutely, 100%. Nothing as powerful as love, right?
That's right.
And so I can tell that you love what you do. And whenever you meet anybody who has where you get to like witness or bear witness or see or sense or feel or vibe off of their love of whatever it might be,
sure,
it's always like I was saying about the whole contagious thing. It's just it makes things easy. It's contagious, and it's not hard at all to let that mutual respect just flow, and then whether it's a conversation or a song or whatever it might be.
Respect.
Yeah,
well, thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man.
You got it.
Hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, if you want to get on that conspiracy tip, you know, we have there's lots to share about that.
Maybe me, you, and Chris, we should all connect on one. We'll make that a future episode.
Yeah, bro.
But I don't plan on stopping anytime soon, so I hope I can. We'll make it happen again for sure. God willing.
God willing, yeah, man. And I just want to say real quick, man. I just pray blessings over you, your show, your life, your friends, your family, your health. I just pray blessings over you, bro, in Jesus' name. I just pray that whatever it is that God has put in your heart that you want to do, you want to pursue, I pray nothing but blessings, man, for you, bro. And because I really do honestly feel I can see that what you got going on right now is going to do nothing but grow. So, respect. And then you're the captain of that ship, bro.
There you go.
And so I just pray nothing but goodness for you, bro.
Thank you, man. Well, much love and respect to you. Thank you for coming on.
Much love.
Until the next time, thank you to anyone listening, anyone paying attention. Much love and respect to you. This is the Blue Dreamer broadcast, Blue Speak. Until next time, peace.